Dhamma is the path of here and now. Therefore we must develop our ability to be aware of the present moment. We require a method to focus our attention on our own reality in this moment. The technique of Anapanasati is such a method. Practicing it develops awareness of oneself in the here and now, at this moment breathing in, at this moment breathing out. By practicing awareness of respiration, we become aware of the present moment. Another reason for developing awareness of respiration is that we wish to experience ultimate reality. Focusing on breathing can help us explore whatever is unknown about ourselves, to bring into consciousness whatever has been unconscious. It acts as a bridge between the conscious and unconscious mind, because the breath functions both consciously and unconsciously. We can decide to breathe in a particular way, to control the respiration. We can even stop breathing for a time. And yet, when we cease trying to control respiration, it continues without any prompting. For example, we may begin by breathing intentionally, slightly hard, in order to fix the attention more easily. As soon as the awareness of respiration becomes clear and steady, we allow the breath to proceed naturally, either hard or soft, deep or shallow, long or short, fast or slow. We make no effort to regulate the breath. The effort is only to be aware of it. By maintaining awareness of natural breath, we have started observing the autonomic functioning of the body, an activity which is usually unconscious. From observing the gross reality of intentional breathing, we have progressed to observing the subtler reality of natural breathing. We have begun to move beyond superficial reality toward awareness of a subtler reality. We have yet another reason for developing awareness of respiration. In order to become free of craving, aversion, and ignorance, by first becoming aware of them. In this task, the breath can help, because respiration acts as a reflection of one's mental state. When the mind is peaceful and calm, the breath is regular and gentle. But whenever negativity arises in the mind, whether anger, hatred, fear, or passion, then respiration becomes more rough, heavy, and rapid. In this way, our respiration alerts us to our mental state and enables us to start to deal with it. There is still another reason for practicing awareness of breathing. Since our goal is a mind free of negativity, we must be careful that every step we take toward that goal is pure and wholesome. Even in the initial stage of developing samadhi, we must use an object of attention which is wholesome. Breath is such an object. We cannot have craving or aversion toward the breath, and it is a reality totally divorced from illusion or delusion. Therefore it is an appropriate object of attention. In the moment when the mind is fully focused on respiration, it is free from craving, free of aversion, and free of ignorance. However brief that moment of purity may be, it is very powerful, for it challenges all one's past conditioning. All the accumulated reactions are stirred up and begin to appear as various difficulties, physical as well as mental, which hinder one's efforts to develop awareness. We may experience impatience for progress, which is a form of craving. Or else aversion may arise in the form of anger and depression, because progress seems slow. Sometimes lethargy overwhelms us, and we doze off as soon as we sit to meditate. Sometimes we may be so agitated that we fidget or find excuses to avoid meditating. Sometimes skepticism undermines the will to work. Obsessive, unreasoning doubts about the teacher or the teaching or our own ability to meditate. When suddenly faced with these difficulties, we may think of giving up the practice altogether. At such a moment, we must understand that these hindrances have arisen only in reaction to our success in practicing awareness of respiration. If we persevere, they will gradually disappear. When they do, the work becomes easier, because even at this early stage of practice, some layers of conditioning have been eradicated from the surface of the mind. In this way, even as we practice awareness of breathing, we begin to cleanse the mind and advance toward liberation. Right concentration. Fixing the attention on respiration develops awareness of the present moment. Maintaining this awareness from moment to moment for as long as possible is right concentration. In the daily actions of ordinary life, concentration is also required, but it is not necessarily the same as right concentration. A person may be concentrating on satisfying a sensual desire or forestalling a fear. A cat waits with all its attention focused on a mouse hole, ready to pounce as soon as a mouse appears. A pickpocket is intent on the victim's wallet, waiting for the moment to remove it. A child in bed at night stares fearfully at the darkest corner of the room, imagining monsters hidden in the shadows. None of these is right concentration, concentration that can be used for liberation. Samadhi must have as its focus an object that is free from all craving, all aversion, all illusion. In practicing awareness of breathing, one finds how difficult it is to maintain unbroken awareness. Despite a firm determination to keep the attention fixed on the object of the breath, somehow it slips away unnoticed. We find that we are like a drunken man trying to walk a straight line, who keeps straying to one side or the other. And in fact we are drunk with our own ignorance and illusions, and so we keep straying into past or future, craving or aversion. We cannot remain on the straight path of sustained awareness. As meditators, we would be wise not to become depressed or discouraged when faced with these difficulties, but instead to understand that it takes time to change the ingrained mental habits of years. It can be done only by working repeatedly, continuously, patiently, and persistently. Our job is simply to return attention to our breathing as soon as we notice that it has strayed. If we can do that, we have taken an important step toward changing the wandering ways of the mind. And by repeated practice, it becomes possible to bring the attention back more and more quickly. Gradually, the periods of forgetfulness become shorter, and the periods of sustained awareness, samadhi, become longer. As concentration strengthens, we begin to feel relaxed, happy, full of energy. Little by little the breath changes, becoming soft, regular, light, shallow. At times it may seem that respiration has stopped altogether. Actually, as the mind becomes tranquil, the body also becomes calm, and the metabolism slows down so that less oxygen is required. At this stage, some of those who practice awareness of respiration may have various unusual experiences, seeing lights or visions while sitting with eyes closed, or hearing extraordinary sounds, for example. All these so-called extrasensory experiences are merely indications that the mind has attained a heightened level of concentration. In themselves, these phenomena have no importance and should be given no attention. The object of awareness remains respiration. Anything else is a distraction. Nor should one expect such experiences. They occur in some cases and not in others. All these extraordinary experiences are simply milestones that mark progress on the path. Sometimes the milestone may be hidden from view, or we may be so intent on the path that we stride ahead without noticing it. But if we take such a milestone as the final goal and cling to it, we cease making progress altogether. After all, there are countless extraordinary sensory experiences to be had. Those practicing Dhamma are not seeking such experiences, but rather insight into their own nature, so as to attain freedom from suffering. Therefore, we continue to give attention only to respiration. As the mind becomes more concentrated, the breath becomes finer and more difficult to follow, thereby requiring still greater efforts to remain attentive. In this way, we continue to hone the mind, to sharpen the concentration, to make of it a tool with which to penetrate beyond apparent reality in order to observe the subtlest reality within. There are many other techniques to develop concentration. One may be taught to concentrate on a word by repeating it, or on a visual image, or even to perform over and over again a certain physical action. In doing so, one becomes absorbed in the object of attention and attains a blissful state of trance. Although such a state is no doubt very pleasant so long as it lasts, when it ends, one finds oneself back in ordinary life with the same problems as before. These techniques work by developing a layer of peace and joy at the surface of the mind, but in the depths, the conditioning remains untouched. The objects used to attain concentration in such techniques have no connection with the moment-to-moment reality of oneself. The bliss that one attains is superimposed, intentionally created rather than arising spontaneously from the depths of a purified mind. Right samadhi cannot be spiritual intoxication. It must be free from all artificiality, all illusions. Even within the teaching of the Buddha, there are various states of trance, jhana, that can be attained. The Buddha himself was taught 8 states of mental absorption before he became enlightened, and he continued to practice them throughout his life. However, states of trance alone could not liberate him. When he taught the states of absorption, therefore, he emphasized their function only as stepping stones to the development of insight. Meditators develop the faculty of concentration not in order to experience bliss or ecstasy, but rather to forge the mind into an instrument with which to examine their own reality and to remove the conditioning that causes their suffering. This is right concentration.